Takamura has proven himself to be Sakamoto Days' biggest menace in the recent arc. He's torn through Nagumo, Sakamoto, Uzuki, and now Haruma without even breaking a sweat, and he's shown no signs of stopping. However, not a lot of people are aware of Yuto Suzuki's previous one-shot, Gaku, where Takamura makes his debut and first establishes just how much of a monster he truly is, so today I figured it'd be interesting to take a look at Takamura's first real appearance. The one-shot starts with a quick news report of a city called Gaku, where 6 dead guys were found in a building. We then cut to see an old man on a bench and a young dude getting yelled at by his boss, who threatens to kill him if he doesn't find some mysterious person. We follow this guy around as he chills in a bar before hearing that some random goons were ganging up on an old guy outside. We then see that the old guy on the bench actually has a sword, and as one of the goons tries to take the sword from him, his arm is suddenly cleaved off before the old guy cuts him into thirds. The other goon gets scared and tries to run away, only to be slashed to pieces. A crowd of regulars had gathered to watch this old guy just casually murder these 2 people, and they all blow it off as just another day, indicating that they're pretty used to this old guy just casually tearing people apart. Our main character is super scared by the old guy and asks if he's dangerous, only for one of the regulars to say that he's not actually dangerous at all so long as someone doesn't want to harm him. The regular then says that no one knows anything about him, just that he's crazy strong. Of course, at this point, it's pretty obvious that this old guy is Takamura. After this, we see our main character returning to his crime bosses, still not having found the person they're after, which gets him a beating. Here, it's revealed that the reason our protagonist is in so much trouble is because someone had stolen 4 million yen from the crime organization's vault, and our protagonist is suspected of being involved with the theft. So, he's been given one more day to actually find the thief, or he gets in trouble. However, as our protagonist leaves, his boss confides in his assistant that he's actually the one that should be at fault since the main character is a goon with next to no power in the actual organization. But ironically enough, our main character was actually involved with a theft, as we see him return to a corpse and talk about how the plan was for the corpse to take the blame while he got the 4 million yen, but it ended up going the other way. The next day, we see our protagonist sitting on the bench next to Takamura as one of the criminals pulls up on him and asks for money. Our protagonist says he's working on it, and then asks the criminal to kill Takamura for him, to which the criminal says okay, and as he fires a bullet at Takamura, Takamura blocks it with a sword before dropping the criminal and walking away. Our protagonist then follows Takamura, eventually leading him back to his boss's hideout. His boss is pretty much expecting our protagonist to come back empty-handed, and so he has a gun ready to kill him. However, since Takamura is standing in front of our protagonist, the boss makes the mistake of shoving him out the way, which prompts Takamura to instantly kill him. As the rest of the crew realizes that their boss just died, they all ready their guns to kill both our protagonist and Takamura, only for them all to be cut down to pieces with ease. Our protagonist is pretty happy about this since he no longer owes his crime organization a person, and he laughs as he thanks Takamura. Takamura then asks him if he thought he was completely unaware the whole time, before saying that he can't believe there's so much filth in the city and that everyone involved with crime should just die. The next day, there's another news report about another 6 dead guys found in a building, with the reporter once again talking about the rise in murder rates. We get one last shot of Takamura chilling on a bench as some pedestrians walk by, commenting that even though the murder rate is rising, life really isn't that bad. Evidently, Takamura just happens to be him even outside the world of Sakamoto Days. And with chapter 166, we can really see the inspiration Suzuki took from his previous work. Takamura's been a beast in all of his appearances in Sakamoto Days, and that obviously isn't any different from his appearances in Gaku. Even Takamura's first line of dialogue in the main series is reminiscent of his first line in Gaku, with both commenting on the fact that most people assume that he's relatively unaware of his actions or the fact that he's senile. Takamura's reaction to fighting Uzuki, Gaku, and Haruma is pretty much bar for bar the same as his reaction after killing the goons, as he says that the people he fights are worthless and deserve to die. It's also been confirmed in the past 2 chapters that Takamura has pretty bad eyesight and relies on sensing the bloodlust and ill intent of people to get a hold of his surroundings, showing another trait Suzuki carried over from Gaku. That being said, there are a few differences I'd like to point out between Gaku and Sakamoto Days. For starters, the most apparent change is the art style. Suzuki's line work and general way of depicting characters and action has really evolved over his time in Weekly Shonen Jump, and nothing shows that more than Gaku. Garaku's overall art style is a lot grittier compared to Sakamoto Days, which takes a more cartoonish approach to character design. The differences in art are really apparent in the way speed is depicted between Garaku and Sakamoto Days, with the former having far fewer displays of raw speed and instead opting to show an instantaneous act of completed motion, rather than Sakamoto Days' depiction of speed mid-action with several speed lines and flat-out distorting the shape of a lot of characters. Fights themselves are also massively different, with the current fights in Sakamoto Days displaying characters swapping hands once again mid-action, whereas Garaku displays the results of Takamura swinging his sword and not the action of the sword swing itself. Lastly, Takamura's actual power is massively reduced in Garaku, probably because this world doesn't actually have assassins. While Takamura is undoubtedly at the top of his verse in both Garaku and Sakamoto Days, the depictions of his power vary greatly. In Garaku, Takamura causes pretty much zero property damage. His sword swings still cleave through people just like in Sakamoto Days, but he isn't also simultaneously destroying everything in a 3-mile radius. In Sakamoto Days, Takamura might as well have Sukuna's world slash because nothing survives the hit. Walls, toilet stalls, tower supports, people, you name it, and Takamura can cut through it with ease. Overall, Takamura has remained a menace throughout his time in both Garaku and Sakamoto Days. His appearances in the current manga have been heavily influenced by what Suzuki laid down in his one-shot, and I just thought it was interesting to take a look at what Yuto Suzuki did before Sakamoto Days.